Namaskar. I Shambhavi welcome you all to your channel Galactic Echoes. So let's start exploring the wisdom of Vedic astrology. So today we'll be talking about a static portion of Vedic astrology, that is sun through all the houses in your D1 chart. How we'll study a particular placement in the D1 chart, we'll figure it out today. But as always, what different are we going to do today? Because there are endless amount of videos about this topic on the YouTube itself, about sun and through all the houses. You can go and watch there for the basic prediction. But what is that thing which makes a particular position of you with another person different is the core topic today, which we'll discuss. So what different are we going to do today? We are going to understand the gravity of the sun in whichever house it is placed. Why? Because sun is the center of gravity. It is holding our solar system. We neglect it like it is a fruit or an apple sort of thing. No. Sun is something that holds and binds the solar system in which we live. All the planets revolve around it, and moreover it is the king of the cabinet, of the planetary cabinet. So we have to take it into consideration, and of course the solar kundli or the solar horoscope or the sun horoscope is very important to judge in all the events in your life. In order to understand the gravity of the sun, we'll be trying to understand the importance of the 7th house from the placement of the sun, the importance of the 2nd house from the placement of the sun, and importance of the 12th house from the placement of the sun, because these three, the 2nd, the 7th and the 12th house, are very important to take into consideration to judge if you are analyzing the placement of sun. So let's start the video and let's dive in. So when sun is placed in the 1st house itself in your horoscope, your personality radiates a self-referential, physically expressive charm. It is, the charm is very expressive. You want to express yourself so much, be it creatively or politically. Your personality is marked by innovative behaviors and a dynamic presence as well. You embody vitality, certainty, and authority in your personality, often perceived as a figure of personal integrity and confidence in wherever you stand. Your identity is intertwined with themes of entitlement, dramatic glamour, and a natural inclination towards roles that demand splendor and the holding of power, such as royalty or something of a celebrity status or aristocracy, not in the real sense but metaphorically. For example, if you are a college student, you might contest in the college elections, this sort of thing, that people have faith in you. You may gravitate towards professions or lifestyles that emphasize golden ornaments or sparkling aesthetics, or positions where you are the center of stage. Your personality, your being is the center of stage. Whether as a performer, as a dancer, as an athlete also, as a warrior or a political figure also, or whatever is the thing, you are the center of gravity. People are looking at you. Your energy is hot-blooded and competitive because sun is sitting at the place of its original exaltation, driven by a desire to innovate, create, and stand out as unique. You thrive in environments linked to weapons, fire, metals, or combustion of the engines, this kind of thing, where the Martian energy is present, often identifying with heroism, rescuing something, or redemption narratives also. Like you are going through these things, you are going through that transformation again and again. Your self concept is fiercely individualistic, often leading you to see yourself as a righteous, moral loving leader, or a brightly righteous father figure as well. That your friends, they have faith in you, that you will be the best guide among all of them. This can also result in where your intense self focus makes it challenging to fully acknowledge others' perspectives or share credit, because Sun is in the first house and the original energies of Mars, Aries, is flowing in that first house. So relationships, especially partnerships, may suffer if you prioritize your vision over collaboration over your partners. So you have to take that into consideration. Do not overpower them, do not dominate them. However, if Saturn aspects your Sun sitting in the 7th house, this tendency, it softens, grounding you with realism and fostering social responsibility, because the Sun Saturn axis is very important for you to know the importance of humility. Without the balancing influence, you may struggle in hierarchical structures also, or you like preferring independence as a self-employed visionary, or entrepreneurs or creative directors. These roles, they very much attract you. You are inclined towards these kind of roles. Professionally also, marriage dynamics require mutual independence, as you resist being constrained by a partner's needs through a spouse who shares you spotlight or operates autonomously may harmonize well. Physically, your Sun in the first house of your horoscope amplifies Pitta dosh also in some cases. Like it might manifest as a bright complexion sometimes, or golden undertones in your face and facial structures, or a tendency towards overheating in digestion might occur through these things in your life. When you have this placement, you radiate vitality through movement, because Sun is also the karak of vitality and appearance, often drawing attention to your body's attributes and the social symbolism also, because Sun is in the first house, so whole body is getting the attention. Health hinges on balancing this fierce energy through cooling practices. What kind of cooling practices? Like doing swimming or these kind of exercises where your body cools down, but it is also a sort of exercise. Your father likely played a defining role, serving as a charismatic or authoritative figure whose public persona or dramatic career shaped your self image. Or this can be in the opposite direction as well, that because your father wasn't a good person, wasn't the greatest father on this earth, he and his habits shaped your mentality and your preferences in this birth. So the Sun in the first house, it signifies that your personality is being affected by your father, and in what sense, in the negative or in the positive, that thing is seen from the chart and the analysis of the whole chart, specifically the ninth house. If your ninth house is well disposed, then you may with this placement sometimes inherit your father's traits or feel compelled to embody similar ideals of leadership and visibility in your social circle, in your social status, because your ninth house is very well placed and Sun is the karaka of father. So this is how we will match these things. Professionally, you excel in roles that demand professional magnetism, like politicians, actors, inventors, or leaders of social movements, these kind of jobs, because you have to be radiating that energy out of you wherever you are working, wherever you are in your family as well. You thrive when self-directed, resisting institutional hierarchies, unless Saturn's discipline tempers your independence through its aspect. So this is the thing which you have to take into consideration. While you seek glory and recognition, your inability to share the limelight or credit can polarize colleagues against you, leading to frequent job changes. This is the reason why people having sun in the first house, they aren't able to work the same place for a long time, if not self-employed. Like, basically maximum of these people, they're into business or some kind of that thing where they do not have to take orders from someone else. But if they have to, somehow, if the chart supports that thing, if the sixth house is very much strong, so they end up getting a job. But frequent changes then are visible because sun is in the first house. Your creative genius and confidence inspire admiration, but unchecked ego may alienate others, leaving you perplexed by criticism despite your perceived benevolence. Because the heat of sun, it is not bearable by everyone. So this is also the thing which has been seen in this placement. Moral and emotional maturity is crucial in your case, is one of the major dynamic in your personality. Without it, your self focus risks tipping into selfishness or vanity, whereas conscious growth channels your radiance, your vitality, your energy, into something more compassionate, impactful, and something more which is leadership oriented. So you are drawn to political theater and ideological battles as well in your life. Though governance roles within rigid systems, they may frustrate you because uh, sun wants to sun wants to declutter all the things which are bad. Sun is the karaka of monarchy, which is not prevalent in these systems in today's world. Democracy is the rule of the state. So this is something which it frustrates these people with having sun in the first house. Spiritually, you align with divine authority, viewing yourself as a channel for higher intelligence. Though this must be tempered with humility to avoid dominating others unintentionally. This is something important which you have to understand. Now, what is the significance of you having sun in the first house? Is that sun is the source of gravity, where the fabric of time and space it folds. Sun acts like a center stage of all the things. As I've already told, that the center of gravity is towards you. Wherever you sit, you make friends. Wherever you go, you are being highlighted. You are the center of gravity. You play well. That if you are participating in a small football match in your school, you are the center of attraction. You may be the best player or something like that. The center of gravity is always at you because it is the sun is in the first house. Now, where will be the spotlight? Where will the sun throw its spotlight on? It will be on the seventh house. So the seventh house, the karakas of marriage, partnerships, alliances, will be in the spotlight in your case. So either in the good way or in the bad way, that depends on the position and the condition of the seventh house, right? And also the position of the seventh lord. But the seventh house will get it will get into the spotlight in your life, that you will be talked about the seventh house. Now, the second from the sun is the second house, because sun is in the first house. So the second house, wherever the sun is placed, karakas of that house, that particular house and that particular planet, are the things which you have to share with the world. You will be inclined to do these things. You will be inclined to share that thing. Meaning, if you have sun in the first house, you will be inclined to share your family, your values, your wealth, your hoarded wealth with someone, either with your sibling or with someone else. If your second house is not in a good position, so you will be inclined to share that. Maybe you are distributing it through charity, your hoarded wealth. Maybe you are distributing your values through a specific ideology which you are propagating. So these kind of things you have to share. Sun will make you share these things in this birth if you have sun in the first house. And the 12th from the sun is the 12th house. The 12th house is the thing which you'll get in this birth, which you'll easily get in this birth. The first karaka which comes through this placement is the intuitive power, that you will be so much intuitively inclined, you will be able to intuitively guess, and spirituality which you will easily get through these things. The core of spirituality, you are the people who will be able to understand the core of spirituality, what is it in real sense, not the hoax part which is being propagated by most of the people these days. And everything which is the karaka of the 12th house will be easily bestowed to you by the planet sun, which is the imagination, creativity, pleasures in foreign lands, advantages and benefits through foreign lands, gains through foreign lands, bedroom pleasures as well. These things will be bestowed to you by the planet sun in this birth. So overall, in summary, sun in the first house grants brilliance, charisma, and an unyielding drive to innovate and lead. Challenges arise in balancing self-awareness with empathy, independence with collaboration, and fiery ambitions with grounded reality and grounded practicalism. This is the major trouble in your case with this placement. So embracing Saturn's lessons, structure, patience, and accountability helps you harmonize your regal self-image with the needs of others, transforming new potential into enduring, socially conscious legacies. So let's move on and let's discuss the placement of sun in the second house. So when sun is placed in the second house in your horoscope, your identity and your self-expression, which is the sun is the karaka of, are deeply tied to values, wealth, hoarded wealth, speech, your family, and your lineage. So these are the major theme in your case. You radiate a charismatic, acquisitive energy, channeling the sun's brilliance into collecting, preserving, and showcasing material or intellectual treasures. This is the theme in your case. Your personality is intertwined with the themes of accumulation, whether wealth, knowledge, or something cultural sort of, or something philosophical sort of heritage also. And you often act as a curator or spokesperson for your family's legacy, for your family's lineage. So these are the things which strongly indicate in your chart. You possess a center stage presence in roles like historians, storyteller, singers, a keeper of traditions, drawing attention through your face, voice, and expressive communication also. Any sort of stage like classroom or any platform for sharing knowledge becomes your universe with this placement, because you want to speak it out, you want to share your thoughts with the people. As much as you speak, you are you think you have that vitality flowing in you, where you shine as a dramatic self-assured figure is your universe. You thrive in those places. Your family of origin plays a pivotal role in shaping your values, your being, and your rooted values. Sometimes they may glorify or charismatically appreciate you, even if their culture has complexities like rigidity or something related to diminished confidence, but they'll be there for you. They will be the center stage in your life. They will hold that importance. The father figure, or the father in particular, is central, often a dominant, self-radiant personality known for assertiveness, wealth acquisition in your case, or roles tied to preservation, such as banking, or hoarding of wealth, or storing of values also, that he was the person who shaped the values of our family, otherwise we were like Mongolians. So he is the person who embodies confidence in you. Though if the sun is weakened here, like if it is placed in the sign of Libra, Capricorn, or Aquarius, his self-assurance, your father's self-assurance, might mask insecurity, leading to overcompensation or, authoritarian tendencies also in some cases. You inherit his traits through this placement, especially related to family values, modeling your self-expression on his independent, sometimes unconventional style also. Asserting, if sun is not well placed, asserting your uniqueness in the family dynamics. Your speech and your face and your teeth will be so much familiar to your father. You will have same face shape like your father has. Material and cultural wealth hold deep significance. You and your identity with luxury, financial stability, and the aesthetic or historical value of possessions. It's tightly tied, though your approach to accumulation is distinctive. But yes, the center of stage is the hoarding of wealth in your case. You might hoard resources, collect art or antiques also, or preserve languages and ancestral tales or history, viewing yourself as a guardian of lineage, as the guardian of your family values, your family knowledge. So these are the things, they are strongly present in your personality. Speech and song are powerful tools. Your voice, it carries authority. Whether reciting history, teaching, or performing something. However, the sun's heat in the second house can inflame pitta dosh also, manifesting in facial sensitivities like sunburns, frequent sunburns, or redness in the areas which are exposed to the heat of the sun, urging you to balance fiery vitality with cooling practices like swimming or eating something cool rather than hot. So, professionally, with this placement, you thrive in roles that merge with, creativity, with curation, with the museum director also. These all the are records of the second house. Financial advisor also, linguistic can also be seen from this placement, or cultural philosophers also. But I think you can also do well in the professionally in the karakas related to the 11th house, which is the, working towards some NGO, or working towards something, more of an environmental sort of, or something related to group projects and connections, your friends, something which is related to the masses and giving back to the society. These things can be seen majorly in your profession. Also your sharp aesthetic sense, because sun is in the house of Venus. If Venus is favorably placed, makes you an artistic visionary also, with unconventional tastes. Why? Because sun is in the house of its enemy, that is why. Weak sun placement like in the sign of Libra, Capricorn, Aquarius may align you with conservative elites or working class values, while the strong sun placement, basically in the sign of Aries or Leo, amplify your identification with privileges, with drama and contemporary elite status. So you seek recognition for your wealth, your beauty, and your intellectual contribution also sometimes. But if the Saturn's aspect is there on the sun, it will have a grounding influence on you. You might overlook others' perspective, prioritizing your own valuation of worth. If this aspect is not there, if it is placed, then it is better. Relationships within the family, particularly with the father, shape your self-worth and your ethical framework also. So marriage and partnerships with this placement, they require mutual respect for autonomy, as you resist being overshadowed or constrained, because you have so much pride in your family. So this is the thing which you have to take into consideration. Now let's move on to the major theme of this video, which is gravity of the sun, understanding it. The sun is placed in the second house in your case. The gravity is towards your family's value, and towards your hoarded wealth. So basically, in either of the cases, that gravity is never ending. Basically, you have something related to your family values or something like that, which will not end. It is the center of attraction in your whole life. It has been the center of attraction, that maybe when you were a child in school, the second house in your case was the center of attraction. It can also be your face and your speech, and if it is making any relation with the 10th house, then also it indicates a good family business also. Now the 7th from the sun is the 8th house. So the spotlight will be on the 8th house, which is your in-laws, your taxation, your shared assets, and your life after marriage. So all these things will be in the spotlight, either in the positive way or in the negative way. For that, you have to check the condition of the 8th house and the 8th lord. But majorly, this placement, it indicates that something is either very well with going with the 8th house or not. Now, for the things which you have to share with the world in this birth of yours, will look from the second house, from the placement of the sun, which is the third house in your case. So you will be inclined to share your courage, your sibling relationship, your business meetings, your short travels, and the intellect also, your skills also. You will be inclined to share these things with the world, either in a good way or in a bad way, meaning either passionately or not. That depends on the condition of the third house, which you can analyze in your chart. So for example, if third house is making a relationship with moon or the nakshatras of moon, then basically if your third lord is placed in the nakshatras of moon, then it indicates that you are a chef. It is something, a sort of a skill, and you are sharing it with the world. How? Because you are professionally doing it. So this is how we see the second from the sun. Now the 12th from the sun is the thing which you will be getting, which you will get in this birth automatically. You are here to receive that thing. So what you are here to receive is your personality, your vitality, your strength, your physicality, your physical body, your presence. So maybe if you are not doing, because you have the sun in the second house, because you are tied with this kind of family, with this kind of family values, that it adds up in your personality, in your being, in your name, which is the first house. So the name, already established personality, already established karakas of the first house, meaning vitality, are the things which are being received by you in this birth. Already you will be able to receive it. Also, these techniques you can apply through the planets placed in the 2nd, 12th or the 7th house for deeper understanding. So let's move forward and let's understand this placement for the people having sun in the 3rd house. The sun in the 3rd house, you become a radiant focal point of communication, commerce, and collaborative ventures, collaborative endeavors in your life. Your identity is deeply tied to messaging, media, technology, skills, and the bustling of energy of business, or positioning you as a sort of charismatic figure in the roles like touring entertainers, or someone like a conference instructor, or a retail politician. Basically, the point here is that you are the person who imparts important information to people. You are that source. You will feel that you are the whether you are professionally into this thing or not. Maybe you are a bank manager, but still you will see that you are into this kind of role, that whatever happens in your office or in your workplace, people will come to you and ask to you for that important piece of information, that is it so, or is it happening. Or when you have the sun in the 3rd house, you are deeply engaged to technology. So if something goes wrong and you are in the statics department, but then you will be the person who will be consulted in these times of crisis when something related to technology is to be dealt. So you thrive in environments that demand dynamic interaction, writing, publishing, reporting, or sort of propagating ideas. These are the things which are seen from the third house, where your brilliance shines through administrative prowess and creative schemes. Also, you present the idea so beautifully that it is like 200% convincing, and confident authority as well over your speech. Specifically, your self expression is uh, theatrical and analytical, especially if Mercury conjuncts this sun and is not in combustion state, blending mental agility with legal assertiveness. If Mercury is combust, then these things will alter. You excel in manufacturing, media production, or public speaking also, often becoming a iconic figure known for crafting and delivering impactful messages across people, across crowd. The father figure or the father in your life plays a significant role in shaping your communicative style. The way you communicate is very similar to your father. He likely embodies roles tied to messaging, craftsmanship of some sort of, or commerce, or technology also, writer also, advertiser, tradesperson, or as I've already said, something a technology specialist also. His legacy, your father's legacy, influences your approach to tools, literal also, like a paintbrush or a keyboard, that also, or metaphorically, like strategizing and planning and marketing, any kind of skill which you have inherited a major skill from your father. His reputation hinges on the third lord's condition and aspects, but his focus on transactions, documentations, or media leaves a mark on your identity. If the sun is weakened in signs like Capricorn, Aquarius, or Libra, his confidence might mask insecurity, leading to overcompensation of something. Yet, his industrious spirit fuels your drive for self made success. This is the major theme which you have learned from your father, from your, or father figures in your life. In teamwork, your radiance and your presence can overshadow anything because sun is placed here. It can overshadow your peers, your colleagues also, and sometimes creating a friction. Your creative ideas and authoritative demeanor may dominate group dynamics also, making collaboration uh, difficult or challenging in some cases. Unless Saturn aspects this sun or Venus aspects this sun, then it tempers the sun's glare and it cools it down. You gravitate towards visual media, cinema, television, or online platforms where your persona takes center stage. Through written communication may feel less fulfilling if your image isn't highlighted. While you thrive in leadership, unchecked ego risks alienating colleagues. So here your necessity is humility and to acknowledge others' contributions as well. Without it, you won't be able to steer. And if Mercury is conjunct with this sun and if it is combust, then that thing will be overblown, which you shouldn't be doing, because Mercury is the original lord of the third house. The third house shifts focus from lineage based wealth, the second house, to self generated values through speech, writing, and commerce, and even wealth also. Because third house is the karaka of your courage. So, how much courageous are you to create your own wealth is seen from the third house. Your financial success, it stems from entrepreneurial ventures, media projects, or crafts, though with imbalances may manifest as restlessness or overheating. Mentally, the sun here can foster attachment to narratives of struggle, especially during its Mahadasha or Antardasha, where victimhood or familiar legacies of low self-esteem trap you into something, into depression, into depressive loops, I must say. Breaking free requires conscious effort and a good placement of Mars. To reject these all inherited pain, leveraging rationality and therapies like meditation, journaling, or yoga, though true healing demands releasing egoic attachment to suffering. So, this is something which you have to take into consideration with this placement of Sun in the third house. Now, understanding the gravitational pull of the Sun, we have to look here that your Sun is placed in the third house. So, the gravity is towards either your communication style, good or bad, that depends on the condition of the third house and the position of the third lord, your writing style, your siblings, and your relationship with them. So this is the center of attraction in your life. Now, what is in the spotlight? The Sun will throw its spotlight on the ninth house, 7 from itself, with full might. The 7th from the Sun becomes your ninth house. So your relationship with father, your religious ideology, your religion, your religious beliefs, your philosophical values, all these things will be in spotlight. They will be talked about in your family, in your workplace, or whatever you are doing something different there in the ninth house. Your relationship with the father will be extremely distinctive, either in the good sense or in the bad, that we have to check from the placement and condition of the ninth lord and ninth house. Now, what are you here to give or share to this world? So it is seen from the second house where the Sun is placed. So your Sun is placed in the third house, and the second from it becomes your fourth house. So you'll be inclined to share your emotional insecurities, your emotional security with people, with the world in a larger sense, your mother, your home, your homely comforts, your nurture, your nourishing, your caring. So these all things you will be inclined to share it with the world. Like sharing your mother, and here I should give you an example. Like here in India, it is a very common norm that people and cousins, especially from different cities and different places, they come to your home and they live for education, for getting good education in your city. So your mother treats them like their mother, and you have to share the love of your mother with them, as well as the house, the homely comfort, and your nourishment as well. So all the karakas of the fourth house are being shared in your case. So this is the perfect example of having this technique. When you have Sun in the third house, you will be inclined to share the karakas of the fourth house with someone or with the world at a larger cause. Now, what are you here to receive? Because if you are sharing something, you'll get something in return, definitely, right? So what is it? It is seen from the 12th house, wherever the Sun is placed. So say in your case, Sun is placed in the third house. So 12th from it becomes the second house. Now the karakas of the second house are the things which you will get, which you will automatically receive in this birth of yours, which are hoarded wealth in the first place, family life, family values, basically historical knowledge, and hoarded something. Maybe it is in the form of knowledge, it is in the form of money, it is in the form of values, traditions, or whatever it is. Name of a huge family, maybe even after you get married, then you receive that thing. Like family, a good hoarded wealth, all these things you are inclined to receive in this birth of yours. So all these techniques you must apply on your charts to assess the placement of Sun in a greater sense, not just looking by its house placement. Now let's move forward and let's understand this placement for the people having Sun in the fourth house. So when you have your Sun in the fourth house, you are a radiant center of stability, deeply tied to homeland, patriotism, your cultural roots, cultural traditions at large. Your identity, it revolves around nationalism, property stewardship, and the preservation of folkways in your case. when you have Sun in the 4th house, positioning you as a defender of ethnic customs, local rituals, or environmental causes also, because 4th house is that it possesses that nurturing qualities. You channel charismatic energy into roles like educator, farmer, real estate developer, or a protector of ancestral lands. That you are the person who won't sell your ancestral lands at any cost, often becoming a local icon celebrated for your connection to community, your values, your mother, and your motherland as a whole. Your self expression thrives in environments tied to home, schooling, or territorial boundaries as well. Whether managing land, teaching cultural heritage, or hosting gatherings that showcase regional pride, that you have that pride instilled in you, tied to your motherland, your homeland. You have that thing that I belong to such and such place. Now, in what way it is manifested, in positive or negative? For that, we have to look at the condition of the 4th house and the 4th lord. The father figure or your father plays a pivotal role in shaping your relationship with tradition. He may embody roles linked to the earth or community, the preserver towards the nature, a farmer, a teacher, a guardian, or a patriot, also in some cases, whose reputation hinges on the 4th lord's condition. So, how was your father's reputation? For that, if you have to assess that, check the 4th lord's position in your chart. His influence instills a sense of duty towards preserving lineage, customs. Though, if the sun is weakened here, example in the sign of Libra, Capricorn, or Aquarius, your father's confidence might falter, leading to overcompensation in defending cultural roots, cultural norms, identity related to your traditions. And you inherit his rational, self assured approach also to everything tied to the 4th house, like property, education, and social standing, often mirroring his pride in ownership or stewardship of land, vehicles, or fixed assets which are related to the 4th house. So, this is the major theme with this placement of Sun in the 4th house. Your mother, conversely, is a dynamic, independent figure in your home, because Sun, it represents that ego, that pride, that dynamism. A leader in her domain, possibly involved in politics, performance, or arts, or strategic planning of something. Or even if she is not into these kind of roles, her self confidence radiates at highest. She encourages self confidence and critical thinking, urging you to carve your own path while subtly steering you towards her professional legacy also. That this is something which you should take into consideration for making your profession as well. Whatever is tied, whatever is her profession, your mother's. If Mercury aspects the sun or is in conjunction with it, your mother's intellectual rigor sharpens your analytical skills. If Venus is involved here in conjunction with Sun, artistic talents flourish. Though Leo sign falls here in the 4th house, you are a Taurus ascendant. This thing may prioritize dramatic flair over conventional charm. Emotionally, you identify strongly with her lineage, with your mother's lineage, often favoring her traits in appearance and character, even as you assert independence from familial expectations. Whatever was, whatever were the things which were being uh, imposed on you as a child. Professionally, you excel in fields blending tradition with leadership, and the karakas which are related to the 4th house of education, agriculture, real estates, or something related to environmental advocacy also. Your theatrical flair shines in roles demanding public engagement, such as politics or cultural performances, where you channelize and you champion localism, patriotism, or ethnocentric values. So this is the major theme with this placement. However, if Rahu's aspect is here on the sun from the 8th house, introduces complexities, cloaking your patriotism in secrecy or explosive individualism also. This may manifest as a defensive, morally rigid systems of, you know, public personas, especially if the moon is in the 10th house and directly aspecting it the sun. It reinforces this narrative of cultural protectionism, that you won't be able to, the people who are homesick is because of this placement, because they are not able to get out of that regular traditional systems. So this is seen from this placement. You might also find many politicians also from with this placement, because 4th house is the karaka of the masses and the public support, and especially people related to right wing or republican ideology, because they are the people who are rooted in the values of their homeland, their motherland, basically in their traditions, which is the right wing ideology. They are not liberal at all, which is seen from the placement of Saturn or the 10th house or the 11th house. So this is the case with you with this placement. Now let's move on to the important gravitational part of the sun with this placement. See, sun is the force of gravitation, which is binding our solar system. So wherever it is placed in your chart is the major center of attraction in your chart. So basically it is the 4th house. So 4th house is the major theme in your case. Your mother, your father acting as your mother, nourishing you, your family values, your assets, fixed assets, patriotism, nationalism, and the emotional part, the emotionality, are all the center of attraction. Your emotions are seen by people at large. So maybe your speech is inclined, is very emotional. Whenever you speak, it moves others. And also with this placement you can see that you are people who are working as actors, because they are into this kind of 4th house of profession where they tickle the emotions of others, emotional intuition. These are the themes with this placement. Now what is the thing which will be totally in spotlight is the 10th house in your case, because sun sitting in the 4th house will directly throw its spotlight on the 10th house. So your career, your profession will be the spotlight in your case. So for example, you belong to a normal middle class family like all of us, and you are, you cleared some sort of exam and you are into some kind of profession. That profession will be in the limelight. Maybe you are the only person who is doing a government job, or maybe you are the only person who is doing business, and all the other people in your family are into government jobs. So this is something which will be in the spotlight, which will be in the limelight in your case. And the next thing which we have to look with this placement is the what are the things which you will have to share with this world. So for this we have to look second from the sun, which is the 5th house. So the karakas of the 5th house, your romantic affairs, your creativity, your children, your speculative gains, your speculative investments, and your speculative prowess, also your intelligence and your intellect, are the things which you will be inclined to share with everyone, which you will have to share with all of them, with the world at large. So maybe with this placement, your children, they have you as a father and you are doing great for them, but they have someone else taken as their guide or their mentor, and they have the same kind of respect for them also, because your children are being shared with the world. Then now if you are sharing with something with the world, then you will be here receiving some things too. You will be here receiving some things automatically from the world. What are they? These things are seen from the 12th houses away from this placement of the sun. So the 12th house from this placement of the sun in the 4th house becomes the 3rd house. So the skills, writing style, communication, and siblings, their support, courage, and short trips, propagating ideologies are the things which you will receive automatically in this birth. You will be receiving the gift of it automatically from this world. So this is how we analyze a particular placement of the planet, majorly sun. For the other planets we can delve into that, but for that new techniques are to be used, different techniques are to be used. So let's understand the next placement of sun posited in the 5th house in your horoscope. So with the sun in the 5th house, you radiate as the bright center of creativity, drama, and intellectual brilliance, embodying a magnetic charisma that thrives in politics, entertainment, and speculative ventures also, because 5th house is the original karaka of the stock markets. Your identity is intertwined with games, romantic affairs, romantic idealism, I must say, and the pursuit of fame, because it is the original house of the sun, positioning you as a natural performer, politician, or literary genius also, because great literary genius like Rudyard Kipling and Virginia Woolf have this placement. You channel the divine intelligence into artistic expression, political strategy, or speculative finance, often achieving recognition for your originality and flair into the creative pursuits. The theatrical stage and royal status and royal platform, or the high stakes world of gambling, becomes arenas where your self-referential energy shines, because it is the domain of the sun. It is the original house of the sun in the Kalbrusha's Kundli. Fueled by all these things are fueled by a need for applause and admiration. So this is the thing which sun thrives on, because sun is the king and it loves admiration and applause. The father figure or your father plays a defining role in your creative and political inclinations, in either in the positive or in the negative sense. He may be a central figure in politics, entertainment, or speculative fields, shaping your understanding of power dynamics, and entitlement and performance. Or he can be into a regular consistent job, which might again fuel your sense in these kind of professions, because his career or public persona influences your ambitions that I don't have to be like him, or either I have to be definitely like him. Either of the way, your father's profession and his personality affects your creativity and your persona and personality. Though if the 10th house lacks strong planetary support, your professional path may face certain kind of instability or opposition as well. You inherit your father's self-assured demeanor if the 9th lord and 9th house are both they are well placed, often compensating for unmet paternal approval by seeking validation through public acclaim if the 9th lord and 9th house is not well placed. Children and creativity are central to your self-expression, though the sun's fiery, dry energy may challenge biological fertility also, because wherever sun sits, it burns that place. So 5th house is the karaka of children, is the house of children. So you may channel paternal instincts into children of the mind. What is it like? Into literary works. That is why I have said that great literary genius had this placement of sun in the 5th house. Artistic creations or intellectual legacies, especially if Jupiter doesn't aspect this 5th house, then this thing will be, it will be more enhanced, because Jupiter isn't in the if Jupiter is in the 1st house or in the 9th house, this sort of thing might it fade out. But if it is placed somewhere else, then the children of mind thing will be enhanced in a greater sense. Now the major thing which we have to study from this placement is the gravitational pull of the sun, because sun is that star which is the binding force of our solar system. All the planets revolve around the sun. So what it signifies is that sun, wherever placed in the center of attraction. So creativity, your children, your romantic affairs, your speculative gains or speculative losses also, or your stock market genius is at the center of stage. So you'll be known for all these things. You will be talked about. Your personality will be inclined towards these things. These are the inseparable things in your personality. Now, sun sitting in the fifth house will directly aspect the 11th house. So, 11th house is the place where sun will throw its spotlight directly. So, all the things of the 11th house will be directly in the limelight. What are these? These are the your connection with your social circle, your elder siblings, your gains, incoming gains, your work for related to the masses, whatever you have done for the social betterment. All these things are seen from the 11th house. So these things will be in the limelight. Whether you have done wrong or you have done right, that will have to decide from the 11th house and the condition of the 11th house. Now the next thing which we have to analyze from this placement is the things which you are inclined to share with this world are seen from the second house wherever the sun is placed. So you'll be inclined to share the sixth house in your case, because sun is sitting in the fifth house. So the karakas of the sixth house, your cousins, your maternal family, the relatives of your family, and your loans, your diseases, and your rivals, these all things you will be inclined to share these things with the people at large. So what kind of thing it indicates is that maybe if the sixth house lord is well placed and is well posited, you are educating people against these things, that you shouldn't be getting into the scam. It is a loan scam, don't get into these things. Or you are educating people for a particular disease, that you shouldn't be doing these things because its consequence is this kind of disease which is harmful for you, for your health. Or your law genius also, your law is seen from the sixth house. Your understanding of the law will be the thing which will be inclined to share with this world. We can also see so many crime podcasters through this placement. Why? Because they are sharing that sixth house energy with the world. They are sharing that cases of the law which have been discussed in the law, and the kind of uh, legalities and procedures which have been followed during its proceedings. So they are the ones who are sharing it with the world. So this placement, it hugely indicates those people. Also, lawyers also are seen from this placement. Why? Because they are again sharing their skills of the sixth house with the world. Doctors are also seen from this placement. Healers are also seen from this placement. All the people who are working towards disease, loan people at the bank who are educating you, guiding towards taking any loan, all these people are seen from this placement. So the sixth house karakas you will be sharing with this world. Now if you are sharing something, you will be getting something back in this birth of yours. So what you will be getting is seen from the placement of 12th from the sun. So basically the 12th house from the sun represents whatever you will be getting in this birth. It is the fourth house in your case. So you will be automatically getting motherly love, comforts, emotional security, and emotional well-being, homely comforts, happiness of life, everything which is the karaka of the fourth house automatically in your life, whether you are moving towards it or not. This is also possible that a rich uncle of yours gives a Mercedes to you. Why? Because Mercedes or any other car is the karaka of the fourth house vehicle. So this is the way how we analyze the placement of the sun for any particular house placement. So let's move forward and let's understand this placement of the sun in the sixth house. So when you have your sun in the sixth house, your life's narrative is deeply interwoven with themes of service, conflict resolving, and resolution of imbalances in everyone's life and in your life as well. You may find yourself drawn to roles that center on addressing societal or personal struggles related to like medicine, law, military strategy, social work as well, or advocacy for the people coming from the downtrodden section of the society. This placement highlights a dynamic interplay between authority figures and difficult situations where paternal figures like father, mentors, or male authorities in your life could embody roles tied to these spheres of the sixth house. They might be physicians, military officers, lawyers, or individuals entangled to complex power dynamics. So maybe with this placement, your father is a doctor, your father is working in military, your father is working as a healer, something like that. Their influence on you could manifest through experiences of betrayal, illness, addiction, or exploitation, also in some cases, shaping your understanding of trust and authority. If your sixth house is not in a good condition, or your sixth lord is not in a good condition, these things you will have to see. Your relationship with your father, or father like figures, may carry something, sort of a significant weight in defining your identity, your the troubling sphere of your identity, I must say. His life or death also could involve themes of service, struggle, or moral ambiguity, such as navigating health crisis, professional controversies also, that because of the fact that your father was serving in military and he sacrificed his life for the sake of the nation, that has shaped your personality. That can also give ethical dilemmas in some cases. This connection might leave you with a psychological imprint tied to themes of victimhood, resilience, or the tension between nobility and exploitation also. Now, professionally, you thrive in environments that demand strategic thinking amid conflict or crisis. Careers in criminal law or healthcare, military strategy as well. These all are seen from this placement, or social advocacy also. And now the major thing which we have to understand from this placement of the sun is the gravitational pull. So because sun is the star which is binding all the planets in our solar system into a system, they are revolving around the sun. So basically what it shows, what it signifies is that the sun is the center of attraction in your life, in your chart. So basically the sixth house, the karikas of the sixth house are the center of attraction in your chart. So basically maternal uncles, maternal family, your cousins are the center of attraction. Your response towards the situation of crisis, and if your profession, if it is related to that, is in the center of stage, that because you are into such a risky career, sixth house is the center of stage in your life. What other thing which we have to see is that the sun throws its immense spotlight on the seventh house wherever it is placed. So the sun here is throwing its light on the 12th house. So your connection with the foreign land, your imagination, your creative prowess, your grandparents are in limelight. They're receiving that full spotlight in your case. So it manifests that you are somehow, all your connections with the foreign land, or in anyhow the karaka of the sun, your spirituality is in focus, is in limelight. So this is how we judge this placement. Now with this placement of sun, we can also see the things which you are here to share with the world. You'll be inclined to share it with the world. It doesn't matter if you want to or not, you will be inclined to do that. It is seen from the second house wherever the sun is placed. So the sun is placed in the sixth house. So the second from it becomes the seventh house. So your marriage, your partnership, your alliances, your business allies are the people or are the karakas which you have to share with the world. So basically, if you get into alliance, or if you marry, your wife or your husband is in a kind of job or a profession because of which he or she is not able to give you proper time, proper affection which you should be receiving from them, because you are inclined to share it with the people, with the world at a large. So basically, people who have their spouse working in military have this placement because their spouse is being shared with the whole world. It can also mean in a negative sense, but for that you have to check the 7th house lord and the condition of the 7th house. Now, if you are sharing something with the world, you will be receiving something from the world too. So from where will you be able to see what are you receiving from the world? That is seen from the 12th, wherever the sun is placed. So say if your sun is placed in the 6th house, so 12th from it becomes the 5th house. So the gift of children, the gift of romantic affairs, the gift of, purva punya, and your, because the Trikona houses are called the Lakshmi sthanas, so prosperity, wealth also. These all things, speculative prowess, stock market prowess is the thing which you will be automatically gifted by the world in this birth of yours. So maybe you are scrolling through something and you got on some kind of video on YouTube or some kind of research paper on internet where you have learned some basics about the stock market or about the speculative gains, which no one would have told you in your whole learning process about the stock market. Or maybe you wanted to have children since a long time, but you said that no, I won't be able to financially afford them or something like that, but you are bestowed with the gift of children, and then you will be bestowed with the prosperity also to for their upbringing, so you can raise them well. So these things will be seen with this placement of the sun in the 6th house. So you will be inclined to share the karakas of the 7th house with the world, and you will be getting and you will be receiving the karakas of the 5th house in your life automatically. So let's move ahead and let's discuss the placement of sun in the 7th house. So when you have sun in the 7th house in your birth chart, your partnerships and marriage are colored by the themes of idealism, self-righteousness, morality, and the interplay of ego as well, because sun is at the original place of its debilitation. The spouse or significant partner may carry a strong sense of individuality also, and sometimes hollow individuality also, pride, or a need to be perceived as morally or intellectually superior. These things are seen from this placement of sun in the 7th house. During courtship, this person might appear charismatic, socially adept, and deeply engaged with you as their audience, thriving on admiration and attention. But however, as the relationship matures, the focus on shared responsibilities, mutual goals, and practical compromises can clash with their desire to remain superior or be in the center stage performer, this kind of thing in the union, because they say that I am superior and you are not. Maybe if they have this assumption is baseless. That is why the problems occur in the union. The spouse's need for applause or validation may wane if daily life demands humility or equal participation, leading to resentment or emotional distance in the union with the partner. So this is seen hugely, and this sun placed in the 7th house, it often signifies a partner with burning idealism, which can manifest as rigid expectations of perfectionism in the relationship, but they as people, as the partner, are not doing anything to get to that idealism in the relationship. This idealism may mask deeper egoic insecurities as well, where the spouse projects their own unmet aspirations or some sort of self-critical nature or narratives onto the partnership, that because of you I am not able to do this thing, and again this assumption will be hollow or baseless. You might encounter a dynamic where the partner insists on being right, prioritizing their ideals over the messy reality of compromise, that because I am the superior in this union, you have to accept this because whatever I'm saying is right. This can create friction as the seventh house ruled by Venus, it naturally seeks balance, because here Libra sign falls in the Kalpurusha's Kundali, and it is the sign of balancing, harmony, and mutual accommodation. If both those balances are not equal, there will be some problem which Sun creates, because Sun doesn't want to be equal with anything or any planet in the planetary cabinet. He is the king. So the fiery self focus, it dominates the delicate give and take of marriage risks, and it risks being overshadowed by one sided demands or a refusal to acknowledge flaws in the relationship by your side as well, and from the partner side you cannot even think of these things of addressing the issues. So this is the major theme in your case. So because Sun is sitting in the seventh house, so fourth house becomes the 10th house from the Sun, placement of the Sun. So it shows that your profession might be tied to the fourth house, basically working from home, or working into something nourishing or nurturing sort of, or something which is related to water, or constant traveling. So these all things are seen with this placement. Other major thing which we have to take note of is the gravitational pull of the Sun, because Sun is that star which binds our solar system. All the planets revolve around it, and if Sun is placed in somewhere, in some house in your chart, it is the center stage. It is the gravity. It is having, that house is having the gravitational pull in your case. So let me tell you that the seventh house is having that gravitational pull in your case. Now this gravitational pull might not seem very good. Why? Because Sun is at the place of its original debilitation. So if a gravitational pull is being made here, is being created here, it can also signify negative consequences, because Sun is the karaka of vitality and your soul. It is also the natural atma karaka, and if it is sitting in the seventh house, so basically your life is dragging towards the seventh house, towards those marriage alliances, those partnership alliances. Now if the seventh lord and the condition of seventh house is not a good state, so all your energy and all your attention will be it will be sucked by that seventh house, by that gravitational pull. It will be acting as a black hole in your chart, in your horoscope. So this is something which you have to take into consideration. Now wherever the Sun sits, it throws the spotlight directly opposite house to wherever it sits. So your Sun is in the seventh house, so it is throwing the spotlight to the first house. So your personality, your name, your charisma, your physicality is in limelight, is in the spotlight. Basically you are known for your physicality, your physical movements, your I must say your Martian activities, your physical activities, and your constant struggles, disciplines. Also the first house is in light, is in the limelight, is in proper light. So people and the world is seeing you hardworking, is seeing you working for something constantly without a break. So this is the thing which we can analyze from this placement. Now with the placement of the Sun, you can also see the things which you will have to share with this world. These are seen from the second house wherever the Sun is placed. So Sun is in the seventh house, so the second from it becomes the eighth house. So your in-laws, your shared assets, your hidden assets, your everything, your wisdom towards occult mysticism, and your wisdom towards AI technology and the research, you have to share this thing with the world. You will be inclined to share these things with the world. It also shows who is into the profession of eighth house, basically into astrology, mysticism, occult, or in AI or technology which is being researched. So these are the things which are seen from this placement of second house from the Sun. If you are sharing something, you will be getting back something in return in this birth of yours. So what are the things where we can see those are seen from the 12th from the Sun. So 12th from the Sun becomes the 6th house in your case. So the 6th house things will be automatically given to you in this birth. So what is it? If you have taken loan, it will be, you will be able to return it without any breaks. If you leave a job, or if resign from somewhere, you'll be automatically, you'll receive something in like a blessing, and with a better placement, with a better salary within 2 days or a couple of days. And you will be able to get loans without a problem as well. And if you have rivals, they won't stick behind you. They will be, vanished. They will be destroyed without you even knowing anything, or without you even doing anything. And if you have diseases, if you incur any sort of disease, it will automatically be resolved. This thing will be resolved because of the vitality of the sun. You will get healed because of that vitality which you are receiving in this birth of yours. So this is how we study the whole placement of the sun in your horoscope. So let's move forward and let's understand this placement for the people having sun in their 8th house. With sun in the 8th house, your life is intimately tied to the unseen, the hidden, and the transformative. The energies of transformation are very uh, enhanced with this placement. You operate at the nexus of mystery, wielding light in shadowed realms like occult practices, or confidential information, or like disaster management, or something like, professions requiring secrecy, such as surgery, military strategy, or any kind of financial oversight of hidden assets, or taxation jobs also. Your charisma radiates from the core of enigmatic environments, making you a central figure in the whole process, in the circles that deal with, you know uh, kind of esoteric knowledge, some kind of covert operations, hidden operations, or sudden upheavals also. Why? Because transformations are also seen from the 8th house. So you are particularly drawn to roles that demand uncovering truths, like digging for the truth, navigating the delicate balance between destruction and rebirth, like death and rebirth. The major karaka of the 8th house is death and rebirth, whether through healing, investigative work, or handling legacies and inheritances also. Because your in-laws, your inheritance, and all of these things are also related to the 8th house. Now, because sun is the karaka of father also, so your father or paternal figures or father figures may embody this theme of concealment, of hiding or secrecy. He could occupy roles shrouded in secrecy, like a surgeon, who are working in the operation theater for at least 16 to 20 hours, or a tax strategist, or a occult practitioner also, like an astrologer, or reiki healer, or someone involved in emergency response also, where his true influence remains wielded from the public view. It is, it is in a kind of shadow. This dynamic shapes you and your relationship with authority or father figures, or your father, as you grapple with themes of trust and revelation. That you know that balance, where I have to go with the truth and where not, where I have to keep the secret. If the sun is weak in this placement or afflicted here, like in the Capricorn, Libra, or Aquarius sign, paternal figures, mainly father, may resort to manipulation or intimidation also, reflecting unresolved shadows in your own journey towards integrity. That because of their shadowy personality, you are so much uh, negatively influenced, that your personality is being built. Relationships, particularly with in-laws, because 8th house is the karaka of in-laws, are marked by confidence and dominance, which the sun is the karaka of. You navigate the spouse's family with ease, often becoming the assertive voice in extended family dynamics, the extended family of you and your spouse. right? The partner's relatives may themselves be very much pride stricken or charismatic or even attention seeking. Like they might also be in professions related to art, like artists or politicians or risk takers also, like having their professions in stock markets. Now mirroring your own gravitational pull towards drama concealed beneath a composed exterior. This is what will be your relationship with your in-laws. The gravitational pull will be felt there. Marriage may involve shared financial ventures with joint assets accumulated through strategic, even covert or hidden collaborations also. Like maybe you have certain kind of or certain amount of assets which your partner doesn't know about, and vice versa. While extramarital temptations might arise to stroke ego, divorce is rare here with this placement, because Sun in the 8th house, it focuses on permanence, and hidden bonds often sustains unions through turbulence. Why? Because Sun is at comfort here. Why? Because the original 8th house, the Scorpio sign falls here, and it is being ruled by Mars, and Mars is one of the friend of, a kind of like a best friend of Sun. So it isn't in a very wrong spot. Sun with this placement is longevity and health require careful attention. Sun's heat in the house of mortality can predispose you or paternal figures to sudden heat related ailments like fevers or cardiac issues or accidents also in arid or volcanic environments, like in deserts. This kind of situation may arise with this placement. However, protective influence like Saturn's aspect or Rahu's presence here with this Sun in conjunction in the 8th house may mitigate risks extending the lifespan. So either of the planets should be present here or should aspect the Sun in the 8th house, Saturn or Rahu, to mitigate the risks of overburning which Sun causes wherever it sits. Now let's move on to the important portion of the gravitational pull of the Sun, because Sun is that star, is the only star in our solar system which binds our solar system, and all the planets revolve around it. So wherever Sun is placed, gravitational pull is felt there. It is pulling, your horoscope is actually moving towards that house. In the long run, when you will analyze your life, when in the end, then you will realize that the 8th house had so much of influence over major events and circumstances in your life, that you felt that transformative energy so much, so that you end up at a particular place. Or like your in-laws had this kind of influence on you, or your shared assets with your spouse had this kind of influence, and you will feel the gravitational pull that if it wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here on this day. Or transformation of your father. Also with this placement, you will find that your father has some kind of hidden artistic qualities also, which you will feel later on in life, that oh, I never knew that you can also do like uh, I never knew that you could sing so well. This kind of things are also seen with this placement. Like it's a kind of transformation, that your father was in military, he was the most disciplined person you have seen in your family, and he's kind of the most practical, realistic one, at an arm's length from all the creative ventures or creative projects in your life. But you will feel that someday when you are sitting with your family, he starts singing and he sings so beautifully. So this is a kind of transformation. It can be also huge. It depends on the placement and dignity of the Sun and the 8th lord also. But this kind of transformation related to the father, related to your in-laws, or related to your life after marriage can be felt with this placement. So this is the thing which you can see from this placement. Now the other thing which we have to look from this placement is that wherever Sun sits, it throws the spotlight in the opposite direction wherever it sits. So here in the 8th house, sitting in the 8th house, sun will throw its spotlight into the opposite direction in the second house. Now second house is the house of speech, your face, your family values, your family, your relatives, and your prosperity. Food you eat, clothes you wear, all of these things are seen from the second house. Now second house is being in the limelight, so either you or your family or your speech or your face will be always in the limelight. Now what kind of limelight it could be? Like, you are the most beautiful person in your family, that you are being talked about, that she is very beautiful or he is very beautiful, they have a good looking face, or they have a charming face, this kind of thing. Or your family and the family's name is in the limelight, that you belong to, oh, you belong to that family, oh, you belong to that place also, because second house is the shared values of the family also. So I have seen so many people with this placement that like they were here studying in the central northern states, but they belong to northeast, throws the limelight on their second house of the familiar values. That, wow, because the northeastern people, my friends who were from the northeast, they had rigid religious beliefs and religious rituals also. They had this tendency of practicing all the rituals with so much intensity that we were awestruck, that wow, this kind of things we don't see very often these days, right? So this kind of thing can also be seen because the spotlight is on your second house. So your hoarded wealth can also be in the limelight, that you are born into a middle class family, but you make that wealth, you hoard that much amount of wealth, that it comes into the limelight later on. Now the other thing which we have to see from this placement is that wherever the sun sits, you will be inclined to share certain things from the second placement of the sun wherever it is placed, and you will receive, because if you are sharing something, so you will also receive in return of some things or some events or some karakas of any house. So it is seen from the 12th house wherever sun is placed. Let us talk about both the things one by one. So the first thing is that the second from the sun, which is the 9th house in your case, because sun is sitting in the 8th house. So the 9th house and the things of the 9th house will be, you will be inclined to share it with the society, with the world, or with the people at mundane level. For example, your ideological philosophy, your religious beliefs, your father and his love towards you, your fame, your luck, your fortune also. All these things you will be inclined to share it with the world. Like for example, if you are a miser, if you have this kind of ideology in you that I have earned it with so much of hard work and I won't share it with anyone in this world, but some events they will happen and you will be inclined to share that fortune with the world, like maybe in the form of charity, or maybe in the form of some help which you will be inclined to do towards someone, to someone, right? Your fatherly love, that you are so much possessive about your father that I won't share his love and I won't share him with anyone, but then suddenly your younger sibling is born, so that love is shared. You'll be inclined to share that love with your younger sibling. Or I have also seen with this placement that many people having sun in the 8th house, their father is in the military or secret forces also, because then their father's identity is also hidden, their profession is also related to the 8th house of the secret forces, and they are inclined to share their father with the whole country. Why? Because their father is out there fighting for the whole country. So now he is not only important to them, to you basically, he is important to everyone in this country, right? Or you can also see with this placement that your father is into extensive traveling business, that he is not able to spend great amount of time with you and your siblings. So this kind of placement also indicates that thing. Now if you are sharing so much thing with this world, there will be the things which you will be receiving in return, right? So from where will you be able to see those things which you will get in return? That are seen from the 12th wherever the sun is placed. So your sun is in the 8th house, so the things which you will be receiving automatically from this world is the related to 7th house. So the all the karakas of the seventh house, meaning spouse, a good spouse, and business allies, and society as a large. You'll feel that wherever you go, people automatically start talking to you. Why? Because they assimilate you into that society. Because the the karakas of the seventh house are being automatically bestowed to you. They will walk to you. You don't have to work towards them. So the spouse also, you don't have to walk towards the spouse. That person who is destined to be with you will automatically come towards you. You don't have to do any kind of hard work for him. The business allies, if you want to establish a business, it will be established automatically without you stressing about it, or are you doing hard work about it. So all these things will be seen with this placement. Now let's move forward and let's discuss the placement of sun in the ninth house. Now when you have sun in the ninth house, you radiate an expansive, generous, charisma tied to roles in public ritual or religious guidance or philosophical teaching sort of things. This placement connects you to the realms of dharma, because the ninth house, first of all, it is a part of dharma trikon, and the second thing is that it is ruled by the Sagittarius sign falls here, which is the karaka of dharma, higher truth and global awareness, drawing you towards universities, temples, or professions that involve preaching, teaching, or scholarly pursuits will be seen from this placement. The sun here in the ninth house, it amplifies your confidence in transmitting wisdom, whether through formal institution like academic institutes, or informal roles like as a mentor of a coaching institute. So both of these things will be seen. Now it depends on the dignity of the ninth house original lord, whatever the sign falls there in your ninth house. However, its self-referential nature, the sun's self-referential nature, can manifest as a tendency to center yourself in these spaces, seeking recognition for your intellectual or your spiritual authority also at your workplace and in general sense also. You may thrive in environments where you hold a central role, like you are into leading rituals sort of things, lecturing or guiding others. But there is a risk of conflating your ego with the principles you represent. Why? Because this kind of self-righteousness or paternalism might so much, it might inflate so much so that it converts into arrogance or ego. So you have to take care of that thing. Your relationship with your father, because sun is the karaka of the father, is pivotal, very important. Why? Because first of all, sun is sitting in a trikon house. So as the sun is both the pitra karaka, meaning significator of the father, and is placed in the pitrasthan, the ninth house of the horoscope is pitrasthan. So basically, your father likely embodies a strong ideological, philosophical, or some kind of religious personas. Now, will it be negative or will it be positive? That will depend on the dignity of the sun, and of course the ninth house also. He may be a preacher, professor, or influential figure within a community, projecting confidence and authority. If your ninth house is well placed and the lord is well placed, yet this dynamic can strain your relationship if his self-assuredness borders on the domineering behavior. Like the phrase of karak bhav nash is with this placement, it goes with this placement. Why? It suggests that the challenges here is his self-reflexive attitude, which might feel patronizing, or his rigid adherence to doctrines could clash with your need of intellectual independence. Because sun is the karaka of the father and is sitting in the ninth house, which is again the karak of the father, ninth houses. So because the significations are so much enhanced in your chart, it might result in the nash of that bhav, which as I've already told, meaning his pride turning into arrogance. Also, with this placement, your worldview is shaped by a blend of rational inquiry and idealism. Why? Because Sun here is the king and he cannot believe everyone. Why? Because he's the king, he has to take his informed decision. The sun's brilliance in Bhav 9 or in the ninth house illuminates philosophy, sacred texts, and global humanism also, urging you to seek wisdom through traveling or long travels or academic pursuits, higher education or spiritual practices also. So you are drawn to these kind of systems that prioritize reason and tradition also, because both of these things should be blending in for something to sprout into ideology in your case, such as priestly lineages or university scholarships. Your teachings, whether secular or spiritual, carry a charismatic creative flair, but beware of, as I've already said, using ideology as a tool for your promotion, for your self promotion. It might harm you, because the sun's lower vibrations here may rationalize ego driven agendas as divine truth, leading to dogmatism or ideological rigidity. So this is something which you have to understand. Now let's move on to the important part, which is the understanding of the gravitational pull. See, the sun is the only star in our solar system and all the planets revolve around it. So basically it is having that sort of gravitational pull which no other planet has. So wherever it sits in the horoscope, it remarkably indicates that that house has a kind of gravitational pull towards it. So your ninth house has that pull. What it indicates is that your higher education, your father and your relationship, your fortune, your fame, your long travels, the tendencies of long traveling are all the things which will have that kind of gravitational pull. Your life will be pulled towards all these things. You will feel empty if you won't do these things. So basically, if you don't have a good relationship with your father, you'll feel empty inside. If you don't go for that particular higher education which you aimed for, you will feel empty inside. If you don't go on that particular long trip which which you aimed at in your childhood or some at whatever time in your life, you will feel empty from inside. So this is a kind of gravitational pull which is being created through the sun's placement in the ninth house. Now the other thing which we have to take note of is that wherever sun sits, it throws the spotlight into the opposite direction, into the seventh house from its placement. So with this, the third house, in your case, it is receiving the extreme spotlight of the sun. So what it shows is that your writing skills, your preaching skills, you propagating the ideologies, and you working in TV, media and publication sort of businesses is something which is in the limelight, which is in the spotlight. Now it doesn't always mean that you are famous because of all these things, or you'll become famous because of all these things. It might happen, but it has to be then supported from the third house itself also. Your third house should be very strong. Your sun should have given good points to whatever rashi or whatever sign is being falling in the third house. So for that we have to check other factors as well, but on a very basic level what it shows is that all the things of the third house, your younger siblings, are highlighted in your lifetime. So your writing skills, your speaking skills, your way of communication, your younger siblings, your business meetings, your short travels, all of these things are being highlighted. In this birth of yours will be the something which will shine like a sun in the sky. Now the next thing which we can see from this placement is the things which you will have to share with this world are seen from the second wherever the sun is placed. So your sun is placed in the ninth house, so you will be inclined to share the karakas of the 10th house because it is the second from the sun. So the karakas of the 10th house are basically your profession, your public dignity, your mother-in-law. All these things you will be inclined to share with the world. Like, you will be inclined to share your public role with the people, that you are into some kind of profession that ultimately works towards the people. Your profession is being shared with the people, so you cannot get into some kind of profession which isn't related to the masses or the world at a larger view. So all these things are seen from this placement. Now if you are sharing something, you will be also be receiving something, right? Things you will be receiving are seen from the 8th house, which is 12th from wherever the sun is placed. So 8th house things are all the karakas of the 8th house you will be automatically getting in this birth of yours. So inheritances, shared assets, good married life, good in-laws, all these things which are the karaka of the 8th house will be automatically bestowed to you by the radiance of the sun. So you don't have to worry about your inheritances, you don't have to worry about your longevity. This is also the 8th house is also the karaka of longevity. Your longevity is enhanced through this placement. So all the karakas of the 8th house are automatically bestowed to you because you are destined to get those in this birth of yours. So let's move forward and let's discuss the placement of sun in the 10th house. Now when the sun is placed in the 10th house, you embody a socially recognized leader, radiating confidence and authority in roles tied to governance or corporate structures also, or corporate hierarchies, or public service also. This house, known as the Karm Sthan, because 10th house is known as the Karm Sthan, it grants Digbal to the sun. You might wonder why sun, it gets Digbal in the original house of Saturn, his enemy. Because the Digbal, it amplifies your capacity for executing decision making and high visibility leadership. That is why sun gets Digbal here in the 10th house. You are drawn to positions where you occupy the apex of a structure, be it a CEO, government official, or influential regulator. So basically Digbal is something which is tied to the element of that planet, because sun is the king and the 10th house shows the apex of hierarchies. That is why it gets Digbal here in the domain of Saturn, where no one stands above you in the hierarchy. The sun here infuses your career with a regal charisma, but its placement in Saturn's natural domain, because 10th house is the original house of Saturn. The Capricorn sign falls there in a Kalpurusha's Kundali. So it creates a tension between your independent and self-directed style and the need to conform to agree with the norms of the systems, rules and societal expectations also. In some cases, like you were expected something which you couldn't do because of this placement. Your father, as sun is also the karaka of father, likely held or holds a prominent social role. Now it can also be in the family or at his workplace, shaping your understanding of leadership as a blend of responsibilities and self-assured command. So this dynamic can manifest as a legacy of authority where you could inherit or you could emulate a paternal figure's approach to power, or hierarchies, getting at the apex of those, whether as an autocratic visionary or as a disciplined skilled bureaucrat. So this is a kind of influence you will have, but this is a kind of positive influence. You can also get negatively influenced by your father with this placement. So in either of the way, your personality is shaped by his power dynamics. The sun's presence in the 10th house suggests that your father was or is a figure of repute, possibly in government, in academics or another structured institution. So it hints some kind of potential friction. Why? Because sun is the karaka of monarchy and government institutions, it is the karaka of democracy. So his leadership style might have left overbearing, or his focus on social status could clash with your need for creative autonomy. This is the case which you can see with this placement, because although sun gets Digbal here in the 10th house, but that dynamics of Saturn and sun won't go away. The leadership style balances independence with duty. The sun's aversion to Saturn's rigidity makes you resistant to all kind of micromanagements, which Saturn loves. It loves managing things, it loves balance. That's why it gets exalted in the sign of Libra, preferring to operate at the periphery or pinnacle of systems to preserve autonomy. You love that. You don't get into micromanagements, into managing the bits and bits. So yet Saturn's imprint ensures you understand the necessity of structure, even if it shafts, it is important. And if Saturn aspects your 10th house or is connected to the 10th house in any way, then you will learn that thing first, then only you will be able to sit at the apex. This is the kind of thing which you will see with this placement. So relationships with authority figures or your father or father figures, including employers also or government entities also, are pivotal with this placement. So you may clash with traditional power structure unless you learn to wield influence without defiance. This is something which you will have to understand. Now the 10th house is also the happiness of your marriage or the quality of your marriage. So Sun's 7th aspect on the 4th house ties your public image to partnership, suggesting collaborations or marriages that enhance your public dignity, your social standing, I must say. However, your spouse's background or values, which will be seen from the 4th house, because the 7th aspect of this sun will be on the 4th house, might subtly shape your leadership ethos, blending personal and professional ideals. So these are the major things which you'll see with this placement. Now we'll move on to the important part of the gravitational pull of the sun. So because we know the sun is the only star in our solar system and all the planets revolve around the sun. So basically what it shows is that sun is, wherever it is placed in the horoscope, it creates that kind of gravitational pull in the horoscope. So basically your profession, your public dignity post marriage, because your public dignity post marriage is seen from the 10th house, your profession, your mother-in-law, your happiness in the marriage, all will be having a kind of gravitational pull towards it. Now it will be negative or positive. For that you will have to check the placement of the 10th lord and the condition of the 10th house. What are the core tenets of the 10th house and who is the lord? For example, if Saturn is the lord of the 10th house and you are an Aries ascendant, and the core tenets are Sun and Mars here in the 10th house, the 10th house is not in a very good condition in this case, so it will negatively have that gravitational pull towards the 10th house. So basically your profession will be in the limelight, you will be at some kind of apex in some kind of structure, but it will have that negative pull that people and your profession does not fit into that traditional boundary. Now the next thing which we'll see from here is the spotlight. The spotlight of the sun will be on the 4th house in your case. So basically the sun, it throws the spotlight on the 4th house, which suggests that your family, your emotional security, your mother, your relationship with mother, your home, your fixed assets, your vehicles, all of these things will be in the limelight in this birth of yours. So maybe either they are too good or they are too bad, or they are something apart from the normal, or they are something too good for a normal living. Either way, a spotlight is being shed on that 4th house of yours. It will be in the limelight constantly throughout your birth. Now the third thing which we can see from this placement of the sun is that wherever sun sits, it inclines you to share something with the world from the 2nd house from its placement. So basically your sun is setting in the 10th house, so the second from it becomes the 11th house, so you'll be inclined to share the things or the karakas of the 11th house with this world. These can be your social circle, your elder siblings, your incoming gains, your relationship to the masses, or in a general sense, I must say, working towards the environment. All these things will be, you will have to share it to the world. For example, with this placement we can see that there are people who plant trees on their birthdays in their home as a gesture of giving back to the environment. But you, with this placement sun in the 10th house, you will be inclined to do something for the environment at a large stage, which is giving back, which resembles giving back to the world in a large action, that you joining in some kind of in NGO which is related to the environment, which is related to the helping the stray animals, something that sort of. So this is seen with this placement. Now if you are sharing something, you will be getting back something in return. So the gifts which you will be receiving in this life birth of yours will be seen from the 12th, wherever the sun is placed. So your sun is placed in the 10th house, and you will be receiving the 9th house, the karakas of the 9th house automatically in your birth this time. Basically, what are those? So fortune, fame, destiny, luck, father figures, father, mentors, gurus, and all these things related to the 9th house will be bestowed to you by the radiance of the sun, and these things will be enhanced in its Mahadasha or in its Antardasha. These karakas of the 9th house will be receiving in this birth of yours. The karakas of the 11th house you will be inclined to share with the world. So your incoming gains, you will have to share your incoming gains with the world also. So I should suggest you all, with having this placement, you should donate a small portion of your salary or your incoming gains into the charity of some kind, of any kind. Especially if it will be better if you do it related to some animal or environment protection sort of charity. So that is something which we see from this placement of sun in the 10th house, Adigbali sun. So let's move forward and let's understand this placement for the people having sun in the 11th house. Now when you have your sun in the 11th house, you embody a dynamic, charismatic force at the heart of interconnected systems, large social gatherings, social circle, whether futuristic, scientific, or social participation movements. All of these things will be seen with this placement. So your presence radiates confidence and magnetism, drawing others to see you as an icon, of collective ideals, something that sort of, that you are working towards that particular group, that particular cause, I must say. However, your personal morality may weave under scrutiny, even as the assembly looks to you as a guiding light. This placement of the sun in the 11th house intensifies the burning away of the house's significations, which means that you won't be having any elder siblings or paternal uncles or friendships or material achievements unless or until this radiance of the sun is checked with Saturn's aspect, and the integrity of the community linkages also. Wherever sun sits, it burns that area, the living karakas of house. So you won't be having any younger uncles, the younger brother of your father, or any elder siblings. So the relationships with these figures of the 11th house, elder siblings or social circle, people in your social circle, may dissolve entirely or persist in forms that offer little support, as sun's brilliance here demands alignment with your self-focused vision. Why? Because it is again domain of Saturn. Because in a Kalpurusha's Kundli, Aquarius sign falls here in the 11th house, which is being ruled by Saturn. So you thrive in decentralized networks, becoming a well-known figure within intellectual, political circles. Because you cannot leave that sort of intellectual radiance with sun. And social hierarchies also. Why? Because it is again the domain of Saturn, as it was in the 10th house. Yet your inner circle remains exclusive, reserved for those who mirror your confidence, talent, and your elite status. So basically your sun is burning that large social circle to keeping it small, because you only have those quality people in your social circle. Though you shine in the spotlight, your prominence is contextualized within the larger assemblies. Because why? Because it is also the domain of Rahu. So whatever happens will be showed larger than life, like in fan clubs or something like professional associations or movements, rather than stemming from a personality driven campaign. And it automatically gets that larger than life vibe. Why? Because it is also the domain of Rahu. Aquarius is co-ruled by Rahu, the sign of Aquarius. So your role lean towards fundraising, social organizing, and participatory politics also, though exceptions arise if the fifth house is strong, allowing creative or individualistic leadership. It will be surfaced if the fifth house and the lord of fifth house is very much strong. Your intelligence is deeply linked to collective goals, favoring principled coordination over something personal glory. Why? Because sun here works for the masses, works for the Rahu, the outcasted. Success emerges in roles that connect, weave, or advance theoretical sciences also. So electronic technologies also, or something of social progress. You might see some great scientists or technology experts with this placement. You may earn well as an independent consultant. The sun's gaze on the fifth house from the 11th amplifies independent thinking, creativity, and slow burning fame with group context. So, all these things will be seen with this placement of sun in the 11th house. Born into an unsuitable economic environment, often working class, you carve a unique niche for survival, rejecting conventional jobs where intelligence and your non-conformity may invite social friction. So, because sun as the king, he gets debilitated in the sign of Libra, so the conformist attitude is not always seen with this placement. Yet you gain recognition in political lobbies, NGOs, or professional associations. Friendships are scarce but elite with this placement of the sun in the 11th house, often with those who embody royal or regal qualities, like celebrity status, something that sort of. You engage with grassroots movements but resist blending into the crowd, because your sun is placed in the 11th house. So you are there for them, you are working for them, but you won't get into that group. So retaining a royal like aura that isolates you from the true peerage is sometimes seen from this placement. Now during sun's mahadasha, frustrations intensify, particularly with paternal figures or authority or your father, as their perceived uh, you know boldness or lack of brilliance, in either of the way, it clashes with your ideals. So either the relationship is ruining because of their positive qualities or because of their negative qualities. So you operate as a king among commoners, as I've already said, a visiting dignitary in communities where equality feels unattainable. So material success arrives slowly with this placement of sun in the 11th house, rooted in regulated systems, scientific, financial, or even sometimes political networks also. All these things are then shaped by the sign, the aspects, and the coordinates along with the sun in the 11th house. So let's move towards the gravitational pull part of the sun, because sun is the only star in our solar system and all the planets revolve around it, because sun has that kind of gravitational pull, the maximum gravitational pull in the solar system. So wherever it is placed in the horoscope, it creates that kind of gravitational pull in the horoscope. So in your case, the gravitational pull is towards the 11th house. So what it shows is that your life and your soul's purpose is towards moving to the 11th house. So it is at the first point, it will be working for the masses, for the people as a whole. So building some kind of technology which helps people at large. Or the second thing which we can see from this placement is that you working for the social circles, you working for the outcasted people, Now, wherever sun sits, it throws the spotlight in the opposite direction. So the spotlight will be on the fifth house, or in your case, all the karakas related to the fifth house will be in the limelight. So your children, your romantic affairs, your creativity, your creative self-expression, your speculative gains, your speculative prowess, all these things will be in the limelight. So you'll be known for all these things, and you will all these things will be in the, they can come into the limelight, into the fame. Now, with the placement of the sun, we can also see what are the things which you will be inclined to share with the world. Either you want to, you are willing to, or not, but you will be inclined to share these things. It is seen from the second house wherever the sun is placed. So if your sun is placed in the 11th house, the second from it becomes the 12th house. So your gains from the foreign lands, you will be inclined to share those with the world or with the people in a basic way. Your paternal grandmother and your maternal grandfather, these both entities you will be inclined, or their love you will be inclined to share it with the people, or with your siblings, or in whatever way. Or your bedroom pleasures, your creativity, your spirituality also, all these things you will be inclined to share with the people, basically with the world, because you are inclined to do this with this placement of the sun. Now, if you are sharing these things with the world, there will be some kind of things which you will be receiving too, right? So the things which you will be receiving automatically, which the radiance of the sun will bless you, is seen from the 12th wherever the sun is placed. So your sun is placed in the 11th house, so you'll be bestowed, you'll be blessed with the karakas of the 10th house. That is a good public dignity, a good married life, a good profession, a good mother-in-law. These all things are the things which you will be bestowed by the radiance of the sun in this birth of yours. You will automatically receive these things. So this is how we decode displacement of sun in the 11th house. So let's move forward and let's understand the placement of the sun in the 12th house. So with sun posited in the 12th house of yours, you become a radiant yet cloistered figure of visionary intelligence centered in realms of seclusion, isolation, imagination, and the unseen, because the 12th house is the realm of the unseen. Your light shines brightest in private spaces, bedrooms, ashrams, hospitals, or foreign lands also, because all these things are seen from the 12th house, where you engage with symbolic, invisible forces, clandestine political dramas, or spiritual guidance. You possess a brilliant visual imagination, clear cognizance, or clear sentience also, acting as a bridge between ancestral realms or dream world. Your intellect thrives in secluded research, political activism behind closed doors, or philanthropic efforts shrouded in something anonymous. So maybe if you are regularly working in some kind of job, you will be, you are in the habit of locking that door in from the inside and working alone in the room. Sun in the 12th house, it grants you an intuitive grasp of foreign cultures, distant lands, and hidden dynamics, making you a natural fit for roles in diplomacy, espionage, or international affairs also. Because Sun is also the karaka of politics, you may gain recognition for covert or hidden contributions or private spiritual leadership if this sun is very much strong here. Yet, fame often emerges paradoxically through confinement, imprisonment, hospitalization, or self imposed retreat, like seclusion, right? Because sun here is in the Mankaraka Sthan. The father figure in your life is elusive, either physically absent, emotionally distant, or operating through astral guidance, leaving you to compensate with idealized imaginary figures. So, because see, the sun in the Mankaraka Sthan or any other planet in the Mankaraka Sthan, it directly affects the living Karaka of that planet. So in this case, sun in the 12th house affects your relationship with father. So this placement can indicate a father involved in clandestine work, spiritually or in foreign endeavors, meaning you have to extensively travel to foreign lands, shaping your identity around a sense of being a foreigner in your own land, that you are not treated well through him, or emotionally or culturally disconnected you are because of him not involving in your life. So these are the things which we can see from this placement. Health wise, you may experience sensitivity in the eyes or reactions to sulfurous elements also. With this placement of sun in the 12th house, your bedroom becomes a stage for glamour, fantasy, creativity, creative self expression, or clandestine romance, where you unconsciously absorb others and their habits and their projections. Though you harbor perfect inner ideals, you rarely confront the gap between reality and imagination, finding solace in dream kingdoms. Why? Because of the fact that your relationship with your father was not very good, because sun is in the Marnakaraka Sthan, so you were inclined to get into that sort of creative, dreamy imagination. Now we move on to the next part of the gravitational pull of the sun. Why? Because sun is that it is that star in our solar system which has the maximum gravitational pull, and all the planets revolve around it. So basically what it shows is that when your sun is in the 12th house, the gravitational pull in your horoscope is felt towards it. So your life is moving towards the 12th house. Basically, you settling into the foreign lands. This is the major thing which you will see with this placement. You have that calling, you have, because you have that gravitational pull towards the 12th house. You getting into that creative projects, dream-like projections also. You getting into isolated systems, or you loving solace. All these things, they have the center of attraction in your life. Now the other thing which we see from this placement is, wherever the sun sits, it throws the direct spotlight on the 7th house from its placement. So it is the 6th house. So your maternal uncles, your cousins, your problems, your challenges, your troubles, your deaths, your diseases, your rivals, they are all in the limelight. So basically, maybe you are fighting with such large or such huge people, or your fight is something related to a glory or regal sort of, which is in the limelight. So basically, either your enemy is in the limelight or is famous, or your problems or your struggles or your fight with that enemy is in the limelight or is in the fame, meaning you are fighting for a greater cause. These things can also be seen with this placement of sun in the 12th house. Now from the placement of sun in the 12th house, we can also see what things you will be inclined to share with this world, you will have to give away. So the second house from the sun is the thing which you will be inclined to share with the world. So the second house from the placement of the sun becomes your first house. So you'll be inclined to share your personality, your being, your presence to the world. So basically, your health, your physique, you are the most hardworking person in your family. It shows, it is the major placement for that. You are into some kind of profession where your body is in use. You have to be physically present for that profession. You have to be physically fit for that profession, or your body is physically draining. Either of the way it can be possible. It depends on the dignity of the 12th lord and of the dignity of the sun, and of the it depends on the condition of the 12th house also. So these are the things which you, the first house and the karakas of the first house, you will be inclined to share with the world. Now if you are sharing yourself with the world, so there will be something which you will be receiving. So the received gifts from the placement of the sun are seen from the 12th house wherever it is placed. So you will be receiving all the karakas of the 11th house in your case, because sun is placed in the 12th house. So your social circles, big incoming gains, your elder siblings, relationship with the elder siblings, support from the masses is something you will be automatically bestowed with by the radiance of the sun. So you don't have to worry about that incoming gains. You don't have to worry about the love of these elder siblings, their support. They will always be there for you, supporting you. and the incoming gains will be there for you, your social circle will be there for you in your support, and at large you will also get support from the masses as well. So this is how we see the placement, or we decode the placement of the sun in the 12th house. So this is the special section of the video where we'll be discussing this technique of the second from the sun and the 12th from the sun, taking planets into the consideration. So we'll do it in a brief. So if you have Venus placed ahead of the sun in the degrees, basically if Venus is at 29 degrees and sun is at 28 degrees, or Venus is placed in the second house from the sun, then you will be inclined to share your wealth, your prosperity, your luxury, your romantic partners, your wives in the cases of husbands, with the world at large. So what it means is that your wife or your romantic partners are in some kind of profession that they are not able to give you time properly. So this kind of thing is seen from the with this placement. The kind of value which you will be sharing, that here the time is being shared, she is devoting her time into her profession, that is why she is not able to give you time. So here the qualities of time is being shared with the world. Like basically if you have Venus in Gemini or Venus in Ardra Nakshatra, so Rahu related work, because she is into Rahu related work, she is working with the explosives, or she is into that kind of technology, she has to immensely diligently work in those fields. That is why she is not giving proper time, and your relationship is being shared with the people at large. So this is seen from this placement. And also we can also see with this placement of Venus in the second house from the sun, that at time and at a point in your life, at some point in your life, you will be inclined to sacrifice your relationship with your wife and your affection towards her, your love towards her, with the world, for a greater cause. This is the theme which we see from this placement. Now Venus is placed in the 12th house from the placement of the sun. So basically what it shows is that automatically you will be getting the affection, you will getting the prosperity, luxuries in your life, love also, and wife also. You don't have to do hard work in those themes or in those fields. You will be automatically bestowed with all the karakas of the Venus in your life. Now let's move on to the Jupiter. So if you have Jupiter placed in the second house from the sun, so similarly you will have, for the women, they will have to share their husband with the world. So basically either he is working in military or some sort of that field where you will be inclined to share him with the world. You will be inclined to give that away. Your prosperity, your children also. So women or people having Jupiter placed in the second house from the sun, we can see that teachers, mentors, fathers also, father figures also, children also, all the karakas related to Jupiter, you will be inclined to share that with the world. A thing which is a major theme here in the India, that one of your sister in your case, or one of your sibling is not capable of having children, and you have 3 children and you give one to them. So this is the thing which is seen from the when it is ahead of the sun, or it is placed in the second house from the sun. Now if Jupiter is placed in the 12th house from the sun, then it shows that all the karakas related to Jupiter, husband in the cases of women, children, prosperity, good family life, religious beliefs, guru, mentors, father figures, these all things will be automatically bestowed to you. You don't have to work, you don't have to put any hard work for these things. And in case of children, it shows that if you are not capable of having children, so you will be given child by someone, by a surrogate mother or something like that, or maybe you are not planning to have a children and suddenly you conceive one. So these all are the combination of this kind of placement when your Jupiter is placed 12th from the sun. Now we move forward. Let's talk about Mercury. So if Mercury is placed in the second house from the sun, so what it shows, that your writing, your intellect, your siblings, your speaking, your words, your way of communication, all these things you will be inclined to share with the world. So basically you are working towards something, you're preaching someone, you're talking with them, making them understand a point. So these are the things which is seen from the Mercury when placed in the second house from the sun. Now when Mercury is placed in the 12th house from the sun, what it shows is that you will be getting social circles, good friends, and younger siblings, the support of younger siblings, and gifts also. in some cases. Like gifts is a help in disguise, that sort of gift. Like you were in a need of something, and your friend, he gives you something that you were in a need of. When Mercury is placed 12th from the sun, so all these things will be bestowed to you by the radiance of the sun. Now let's move forward and let's talk about Saturn. So if Saturn is placed in the second house from the sun, so it shows that you'll be, your hard work, your labor, your karma, your servants also, in some cases, you will be inclined to share all of these things with the world. You will be inclined to give away all these things. So basically, this is the kind of thing where you tell your servants to go and work for them, or such people can also have, when you have Saturn in the second house from the sun, employment agency sort of a business. So it is seen from this placement. Or when Saturn is in 12th house from the sun, so the servants, karma, diligence, hard work, discipline, and all these things, you'll be automatically receiving these things from the world. So you don't have to hard work for them. For example, if you had some sort of problem with a servant and he leaves or she leaves, you will be able to recruit one easily. So you don't have to think about that. Now let's talk about Mars. If Mars is placed in the second house from your sun, so what it shows is your younger male siblings, your courage, your fighting capabilities, your impulsivity, your innovative tendencies. All these things you will be able to, you will be inclined to share it with the world or with the people at large. So basically, you don't have to, you cannot control that. Either you want to or not, you will have to share it with the world. So basically, it also shows that your younger siblings in military or some kind of that profession, so that in that way he is being shared with the world. He is not only a sibling to you, he is not only important to you, but to the world for a larger cause. Now when Mars is placed in the 12th from the sun, it shows that your the courage, your younger male siblings, and impulsive reactions, impulsivity, hot-headedness, all of these things you will be receiving in this birth of yours, automatically receiving. You are that kind of person people don't want to get into fight with. Your reaction is so much impulsive that you are so much courageous that they don't want to get into fight with you. You don't think before acting, because you are so much filled with courage. Your personality is known for courage. Or if you don't have a younger sibling, this placement shows that you have people around you who act as your younger siblings, because Mars is the 12th from the sun. So all these gifts or all these karakas of the Mars will be received by you with this placement. Also progress in technology or technological systems, when Mars is placed in the 12th house, can also be seen with this placement. Now in this technique, we don't take Rahu, Ketu and Moon into consideration, because Rahu, Ketu are the shadowy planets and Moon is the karaka of the water and is the water element planet. So the combination cannot sit properly. So all the other planets we have discussed. So this was my understanding of the placement of the sun through all the houses in your D1 chart. Tell me in the comment section below, were you able to relate with these predictions or not? Also suggest me some topics on which I should make videos in future. If you like the content, do not forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family. And if you want to stay connected and watch regular quality content on astrology, do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.